Hey colleagues, my name is Claudia Abar and I am a kindergarten teacher in District 4. I'm also your virtual content specialist for kindergarten math. Over the last few weeks, we've been talking about how to use the summary slides. We've been talking about the different ways that we can use the summary slides to assess instruction, to kind of monitor whether the children are understanding or whether they're having difficulties, how to make it a little bit more enjoyable, how to make it a little bit more accessible. So we're going to do that again today. We're going to be looking at week 33, and we're going to be looking at one of the two-part lessons. You probably have noticed that over the last few weeks, our lessons have now been split in two sessions. There's a billion reasons why we want to do that, but one of them is to give you additional time as we near the end of the school year to really hone in on what your children need. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to be looking, not just me, at Unit 6, Day 3. This is going to be part 1. And the focus here is how can we build and record flat shapes with different side lengths? Now, one of the things that we're going to be doing here, and I'm going to go into the implementation guidance, is that we're going to be using the GeoBoard apps. Now, if you are not familiar with the GeoBoard apps, there are videos being created for you on how to launch and how to use it. So let's just go right ahead into the Explore slides, which is where the work is going to be coming from for the summary lessons. So in the Explore slides, which again, your children do by themselves, there's a link here to the GeoBoard app, which I will click on, and it's asking them to make triangles in 3 different lengths. So let's go ahead and create this. By now, there's also a video made for your children on how to make triangles. So I'll create that one. I made a mistake and made that one. Okay, good. So I will go ahead and add this rubber band. And now I want to make an obtuse, an isosceles, and acute triangles. How fancy. Remember when we had to learn those words and they never came and we never did anything with that information? I know that you notice that my colors keep changing as you'll see on the video. Once you make a triangle up here, you can highlight it as this one is and change the color by clicking here, by clicking on the color that you want now. Sorry, it's not doing that. Go ahead and highlight it, and you know that it will be highlighted because you'll have these little circles around the pegs, and then click on the color that you want. So let me go ahead and make this last one green. Let me bring in a rubber band. And we're asking our children, what do you notice? These are the 3 triangles that they have made. They had fun, right? Great. Always fun to do these things. So now we go back into the work, and the summary slide says, look at the triangles that you made. How are they similar? How are they different? Now let's go back to the work that we made. The children will be using this. Now, more than likely, you would have asked your children to share your code with you, to share the code that they generated, which is something that they will do here. Maybe your children are having a really hard time and you want to create this for them. If you want to share the triangles and you want to make maybe 1 and ask the children to make 2, whatever works for your class. So what is the goal? What do we want the children to say? What are some of the things that your children will say when they're looking at these triangles? How are they different? Well, they're different colors. This one's longer. This one, all sides look to be about the same size. It looks almost the same. This one has a very pointy side. What can they say? What will they say? Anything that your children say, we will affirm. Once they create this, ask them to share the code with you the way we do it here, because you will be using that the following day. Now, I always make sure that my children write their name somewhere, their favorite part of the assignment always, so that I know whose work we're using, but also so that when they see the work being shared the next time, they have ownership and they have this like entitlement of like, oh, that's my work. I did it correctly. And it just goes a really long way into making sure that we make them engaged and accountable. So now let's look at day 4. Day 4, again, how can we build and record flat shapes with different side lengths? This is part 2 of the lesson. And let's go here into the summary slide. Now it gets a little bit more difficult, right? Look at these 2 shapes. How are they similar? How are they different? There's a few things that your children can say. And these shapes were made, they made them. How can your children say that, oh, these are the same exact shapes, is that one is at an angle, one is upside down, one is sideways? What can they say? As your children work on these shapes, we want to make sure that we highlight a few things. We want to highlight that, yes, all triangles have 3 sides. We can definitely have, your children will definitely give you this. These are 3 different triangles. To them, because they are, because of the orientation of the shape. Some of them will say that these are upside down because they've only seen this. This is a really good way to get them into noticing the different ways that we can make the shapes and the different ways that we can make the triangles. One really cool feature that you have on this app is that once you have them like this, you can go ahead and click here on the inkblot. So it makes them all a little bit darker. So it highlights, it makes them pop a little bit more. So your children will then be able to tell you what it is that they are using them for. We will suggest that you ask the children to share the code so that you can use their work the next day, especially as we are going to be looking at some of the shapes that your children made in the launch. Let me go back to that, which I did not highlight properly. In the launch, we're going to be using some of the ones that we did in class yesterday. Who can remind us of what we did in class yesterday? Students will recall using geoboards to make triangles and rectangles of different side lengths. So let's go back to that. So some of the ones they made, the triangles that we just made here, can be used as part of the launch for the following day, especially if they use their code. The other exploration board asks them to make rectangles. So the summary highlights this one, the triangles, because they're making 3. And then here, on the following day, day 4, in the summary slide, we will be looking at some of the rectangles. And this can also be some of the rectangles that your children made during their own independent exploration time. Okay, families, not families, colleagues. Okay, colleagues. I make videos for both of you, so sometimes I do get confused, but you are families. You are my family, you are my colleagues. So I hope that this made a little bit of sense of how we use the work from one day into the following day. It's good to show the connection between the work that we're doing, especially now that we are splitting the lessons. We want to be very cognizant and very much aware of the fact that we are asking the children to continue with one concept to another day and to build upon it. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and I hope that you found it useful. Thank you so much for watching.